Hello, guys. Welcome to the Just to Kick It is a Blessing podcast with your host, Keith Tupac Gatiramu. For those who have been tuning in, have been showing love, have been commenting, have been sharing with their friends, have been giving feedback, I totally appreciate it. It means more than you can ever imagine to me. And thank you so much for spending your valuable time to listen to what this clown has to say. I really appreciate it. Just know that today's episode is brought to you by the Healthy Hub. So this is one of the products by the Healthy Hub. Kindly check them out on social media or their website to just see the range of amazing products that this less than 1 year old company has. Today is quite a unique day. As you can see, I'm in studio alone. So we'll get to that. But this is the first time that I'm doing something like this on camera alone. And therefore, I just want you guys to excuse me if I make any mistakes, if I stutter. Also, I wasn't really prepared for this, and I'll get to that. But hopefully, I can deliver something to you guys, something that you can learn from. And hopefully, you can take a few things away home from this. So, today's episode is titled Stop Taking Things Personally. And I'll repeat that again. Stop taking things personally. I know that each one of us listening or watching this can relate to that. One way or another, we have taken things personally. You see, the thing with us is we're human beings, we're emotional beings. And therefore, sometimes we tend to take things personally. Whether someone has cut you off in traffic, whether someone has hooted at you, whether a friend has skipped out on a date, whatever it is, sometimes we tend to take it personal when it's not really personal at all. And I'll get to the first thing I have to share with you about today. So today, I was meant to have a guest, and basically we spoke last night. I texted her saying, Nini, we'll meet at 1:30 at mine. Then we can go. Sorry, not 1:30, but 11:30 at mine. Then we could go to the studio at 12 because usually my studio time is from 12 to 2. I was there. I was working. Nini wrote down a series of questions to ask the guest. Then it reached like 11:50 and she still hadn't communicated. So I decided, you know what? Let me reach out to her. So I reached out and I was like, hi, how are you? Are we still meeting today? And she was like, no, I'm sorry to cancel on you late. 1, 2, 3 happened and unfortunately I wouldn't make it. So you see, for me, like, she had actually a very good reason for why she couldn't make it and everything. But the thing for me was, why didn't she tell me earlier, If she had told me earlier, then I'd have probably had the chance, or I would have had more time to prepare for this, But unfortunately, that was not the case. And at that moment of time, for me, it kind of, disoriented me. And I was like, then I thought to myself, Tupac, why are you taking this personally, yes, it happened. There's nothing you can do about it. What can we do? And the thing is, for me, I will tell you, I really enjoy these sessions. I really enjoy coming to hear people's stories. I really enjoy this sort of motivation. So immediately I thought, okay, let me call another let me call another guest I've wanted on the show that I know lives nearby and is able to, come quickly. So I called him and he clearly told me that, today is a bad day for me. I have meeting after meeting, then I have a class. So unfortunately, bro, I can't make it. And I'm so sorry. So I was like, wow, what's happening? What is happening today? But you see, the thing is, I realized that those things happened for a reason. And the reason is for me to have shared with you this, what I'm speaking about. You see, I think since Monday, things haven't been that, good for me. Found out a couple things that knocked me off the rail, but we'll get back on track for sure. So things haven't been good for me. And I had to even, call one of my closest friends, have lunch, talk to him, let it out. And I keep on telling you, man, learn to talk, because as soon as I finished talking to him, I definitely felt a weight off my back. So men, please learn to talk. It's not embarrassing what you go through. It's not, it doesn't make you less of a man because you cry or whatever you go through. Just learn to talk. Your well-being is very good for all of us, for your family, for your friends. And as I said, and as Sende, who came here a few weeks ago, said, you don't have to do things alone. You are not alone. Always remember that. Anyways, back to the story. So yeah, had a couple bad 3 or 4 days. And within that 3 or 4 days, what I decided to do was to do a lot of self learning. So you remember what I said, the journey inwards is always the hardest, because you get to learn things about yourself, accept things about yourself that you don't want. And you see, for me, what happened made me have to take that step to learn about myself, because I started blaming myself for something I barely even understood. And I won't get much into what happened because that's not for me to speak about. But you'll kind of understand the whole concept about not taking things personally and why we take things personally. So today, when I woke up, I don't know what happened, or what touched me, or what. Probably it's God, because me, I personally believe in God. And the first video I watched on YouTube was a video called "Don't Take Things Personally." It was a TED Talks by a guy called Frederick. I'll share later on what I learned from that TED Talks, but it was an amazing TED Talks. And I think that if you're listening to this as well, you should listen to that. He brings out some very important points. Anyways, you see, for me, I think taking things personally started at a very young age. Since I've been a young child, I've taken things personally. And when I look at it now, it's grown up on me. Yesterday, I think, when I was in the office, as I was working, I watched this video of Jay Shetty, Oprah, and Dr. Perry. And it was about, I think Oprah said that we fail to understand that a lot of the things that build our children's characteristics, personalities, and all those things are things that happen to them between the age of 0 and 6. And someone said that to me on Instagram the other day as well. Things that happen within a very young age is what builds up a person, whether it's trauma, whatever it is, it has the tendency to build the personality of a person. So for me, when I was a young boy, when I was growing up, my parents were really into us doing sports, whether it was football, whether it was golf, whatever sport it was, my parents really encouraged us to participate in sports. So back when I was in school in Jaffrey's, I really participated in a lot of sports, whether it was football, whether it was cricket, whether it was hockey, whatever it was, I was part of the team. So I really took it, and the truth is, not to brag or not to be cocky about anything, was I was decently good at it. I don't know whether it was the competitive spirit I have or nature I have. I don't know whether it was the genes. I don't know, whatever it was, we were quick learners, whatever it was, not just me actually, but my brothers as well were decently good at those sports. And sometimes it was really painful for me when the coach would sub me. And I remember a couple of football games when I'd be so mad at the coach. because he'd subbed me, and maybe I wanted a hat trick, or maybe we were losing and I believed we could score, or whatever reason it was he subbed me. I know I'd woke up with upset, sometimes I'd even utter negative words to him, you know. And as you continue to listen to this, you will understand why 1, 2, 3 happened. But yes, that did happen. And when I look at it, I've gotten to understand why it happened. And it wasn't a good thing that it happened, but you know what it is? We learn and we grow. Anyways, from that podcast, I mean, the TED Talks that I listened to today, Frederick gave an example of how he wanted to be a referee. And I remember when he said that, the crowd was shocked. No one says they want to be okay, not no one. Let's respect that. But very few people grow up with the dream of wanting to be a referee or something of that sort. But here was Frederick, who wanted to be a referee. And the reason he wanted to be a referee was because he believed that being a referee gave you the strength and ability to, sorry about that, but to not take things personally. And when I look at it, it is so true. I think being a referee is one of the hardest things you have to do. And I will share 2 stories with you about my experience being a referee. So there was a time that we were hosting this, not okay, but like one of my friends was hosting a tournament at Valley Arcade, and he asked me to be the referee of one of the games. And wow, let me tell you, being the referee of that game was pressure. I'm telling you, pressure. Those guys were constantly shouting at me, abusing me. Even when something was so straightforward, they wanted to fight. And the thing about sports is, if there's like the energy that's, especially this football, rugby, that builds with you, that sometimes turns into negative energy, and your outlet is shouting and what. And personally, even when I play football, I experience that, but wow, it was so bad. And I could remember there was this one game when the guy had clearly fouled a guy inside the box, and it was a penalty. But they were refusing. They had kicked the ball. The guy who had fouled the guy was abusing me and what. So eventually they agreed for the penalty to be taken, nini. But for me, the words he said to me still stuck with me. And I was really trying my best to favor the other team. I really wanted these guys out. I didn't want them to win, And I kind of realized, or it dawned on me, that I did take that personally, And when I look at it, I was like, now that I look at it, I was like, but you'll get to understand why I took it personally. You'll get to understand why we all take things personally. The next time was one of the tournaments we used to host annually, but because of COVID, it hasn't happened in a while. But basically, we were part of a team, and something similar happened. But this time I wasn't the referee. I was just observing. And there was just a guy who was trying to steal goals. So his team would win like 4-1. He'd claim 3 goals. And, he wanted the top scorer that bad. But, I caught him in one of the games. So I asked him, honestly, this is not fair what you're doing. Other guys have really worked hard to, be on that board. And anyone who's a footballer can tell you scoring a goal is not easy. Winning top scorer is not easy at all, So when someone wins that, you have to respect their hard work. That means they've put time, dedication, and a lot of other things into being there or winning that, So I pulled the guy aside, what, we talked about it, nini, okay. So I shared the message with my team. We talked about it. We said, I will sort it. So in the morning, I pulled the guy again and I told him, honestly, look, I've talked to the team And if we notice that this happening again, we will disqualify you. But as usual, I don't know if it happened again, but what I realized was he won the award. And the thing is, I was so disappointed because I saw other guys working twice as hard to win that award. But yet, even a discussion I had had with my guys still went against me. And the truth is, I ended up taking that very personally, that I left the tournament, which was extremely wrong of me when I look back. And that's why I'm telling you guys, anyone that knows me knows I am such an emotional being. I am such an emotional roller coaster. And the truth is, sometimes my friends even hide things from me, which is completely wrong. And I find out later sometimes because they know that this and this will affect this guy's emotional state. And for me, I've realized that that is one of my flaws, and I've begun working towards solving it because it's been really, a distraction in my life. It's really destroyed some friendships and this and this and that. So yeah, I really wanna, work on it. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being emotional. Please do not get me wrong. We are all humans and we're all emotional beings. It's just what I'm trying to say is that, learn to control your emotions. Your emotions can build you and they can destroy you. So it's very important you have that balance, that you learn about those emotions. So, anyways, the reason why we struggle or we take things personally is because of our ego. You see, the thing with the ego has this mentality of seek to be understood first instead of seek to understand first. I don't know if you get that. So it's seek to be understood first instead of seek to understand first. So you see, for me, in all those situations, I it was my ego taking place. When I was a child playing football and and the coach would take me out. It was my ego. I was like, honestly, I'm the best guy in the team. What is he doing? Okay, maybe not the best, but among the best. What is he doing? When I look at the referee situations, it was my ego. Like, honestly, what's this guy tell? How can he abuse me? Who is he to abuse me? You know, when I look at all the situations or all the things that I've played in my life that I've taken things personally is because of my ego. And I'm sure that you guys listening or watching, when you look at some of the things you have taken personally, your ego has played such a big part in that thing. I'm sure you say, like, even when you look at it, like, your ego has played such an important role in you taking those things personally. You know, when someone abuses you, it's just your ego. Like, what is he saying about me? And okay, sorry about that. And what I'll try to tell you is, a lot of times people will say things about you and what, but you shouldn't take them personal because sometimes those are just assumptions. You see, and that's another key that makes us take things personally. Assumptions. You walk past a group of people and they suddenly start to laugh, and you start, and you automatically assume they're talking about you, and that automatically spoils your day, or you end up causing a fracas with them. When the truth is, maybe one of them just cracked a joke. And even if they said something about you, why should it matter? It's your life. What they say about you does not matter at all. It only becomes a reality if you let them. If I came and called you stupid today, if you believe that you're stupid, that's the only time it affects you. You get? And I feel that is one thing that happens with us. And that's one fault of social media. We've started to agree on what other people are saying about us that it's becoming our reality. You know, social media tells you you're lazy or you do not have the perfect body type, and you constantly start believing that, and that's wrong. Like, you shouldn't believe anything. If you believe you are who you are, then that's who you should be. And that's the truth about everything, And let me look for the next point I needed to bring. Why you see, and taking things personally, or what people say to you, can be turned the other way around. If someone told you, listen, this work is rubbish, you can either choose to sit down and take it personally, or use it as feedback to come up with better work. You know, it might have not been the best work, but it's all about how you take things. Yes. If someone rejects you today, it's not personal, it may be because God has someone better planned for you. If you don't get the job you wanted today, it's not personal. It may be that God has something better planned for you. And I think it's important that each of us get to understand that sometimes God has bigger plans for us. So when we get that no or yes or no, I mean, most of the time it's no. Do not take it personally, And I'll give you an example. For like 2 years now, I've been trying to do a TED Talks. Like, that is one of the things on my bucket list I've been trying to take. And I get so many no's, and sometimes it's so frustrating. And I'm like, yo, here's my topic. I've researched. There's not many people who have spoken about it on TED. Please just give me a chance. And they're like, you're late, or no, there's no space. The event was cancelled. And it can be frustrating. But the thing is, do not take it personal. Like, if they say no, yes, Tupac, maybe they had the whole list of guest speakers, they can't add one. So it's really not their fault. If it's too late, you can't complain at something that's too late, Tupac. Even if you believe that you have the best topic out there, you can't complain at something that's too late. Like, honestly, you are late. So of course you already missed the time, So you need to learn to not take things personally, And to be honest, I think one of the ways of not taking things personally is empathy. And for me, I think one of the best definitions for empathy, I'll read from my book, is ability to understand and share feelings of another. That is what empathy is. I will repeat again. Ability to understand and share feelings of another. And to go back to my whole ego story, my whole taking things personally, is in all those situations, I failed to understand the feelings, and I failed to understand the feelings of those people. For example, my coach, when he took me off, it could be strategic. It could be he wants to rest me for another game. But because of ego, sorry about that. I totally failed to understand that, When I look at it, being a referee, ego came, but I never put myself in those guys' shoes, First of all, even when I'm playing football, I understand how fast your heart is beating. It's very hard to make certain type of decisions, So I should have put myself in his shoes, saying, Tupac, if it was you there, what would you do? I'd probably act the same way they did. Not the one for trying to be the top goal scorer. That doesn't really bother me. But the one for refusing a penalty, it happens all the time. I'll commit a foul, everyone will see, and I'll still deny it, So I should have put myself in those kind of positions. And for the last story of the day, basically to come to the end of this podcast, I'd like to share a story with you. I won't get into the details of it, But like late last year, something happened between me and one of my friends, and it caused, um, it caused us to drift apart, you know. And the thing is, when I looked at the situation today, okay, not even today, like a few weeks ago, one of my friends came and like, yo, honestly, I understand that this and this was wrong, but have you decided to put yourself in their shoes? And me being me, and again the ego playing part as well, I was like, man, I don't care honestly. They did this. This is my decision. Screw them, you know. But then when I looked at it this week, I was like, wow, you know, the thing is, you weren't even hurt about what they did. It was just your ego. Your ego made you feel a certain type of way. And that is why you reacted like that. And when I put now myself in their shoes, I was like, similar things have happened to them where they haven't even taken such drastic decisions like mine. But it's because they probably do not have, that, ego. And for me, I have really had an ego. And it's something that as I embark on this journey inwards to learn more about myself, is something I want to learn about and something I want to change. And I remember one of one of the games, the football games, my dad came to watch me play. I think it was at Oshawa. And I think yeah, Jaffrey's was losing, I think, 1-0. And I ended up scoring, like I think two goals. And when I scored, I had that celebration. Who is the man? That who's the man? And the first thing my dad told me is like, very good goals, but watch that ego. And at that time, I probably didn't understand it, but now I'm trying to learn that lesson. Now I've gotten grasp of that lesson. And definitely I will have my dad on one of these podcasts one day, just to hear what he has to say, because I feel like that guy has taught me so many lessons that I've ignored in the past, that now that I've become older, I'm getting to learn. And yes, as I come to the end of this topic, I hope that you have had a chance to learn a thing or two. I'd also like your feedback, your comments, just tell me what you also think. I know I wasn't that well prepared to present it, and I will probably have to do it again when I'm better off prepared. But trust me, I think there's a thing or two to learn from this. And thank you for spending your valuable time listening to this. God bless you. Have a great week and see you next week.